Vengeance of the Forgotten. The Resistance headquarters on Proxima Colony was hidden deep within an abandoned mining facility. Alina stood before a gathering of humanity's remaining free leaders, her presence commanding attention despite her slight frame. 3 centuries separated her from these people, yet they looked at her with reverence and hope. "The legends don't do you justice," Marcus Chen said, his weathered face displaying a mix of awe and skepticism. A single ship against the entire Xorian hegemony. Even if the Avalon is everything the stories claim, it seems impossible. Elena studied the tactical displays showing Xorian fleet positions throughout the sector. Nothing is impossible with the right advantage. The Avalon isn't just a warship. It's an evolutionary leap in military technology. "What makes it so special?" asked Lyra Donovan, the Resistance's head of operations. "Athena, show them," Elena commanded. The ship's AI projected detailed schematics of the Avalon. While most present didn't understand the technical specifications, the implications were clear. The vessel possessed technology centuries beyond current capabilities. The Avalon was designed as humanity's ultimate insurance policy, Elena explained. Self-regenerating nanomaterials for hull repair, adaptive weapon systems that learn from encounters, power generation that makes current Xorian technology look primitive, and most significantly, Athena. "I am capable of predictive battle analysis," the AI added, allowing us to anticipate enemy movements and counter them before they occur. Marcus exchanged glances with his lieutenants. "We've spent generations fighting a guerrilla war we couldn't win. Small victories, massive losses. If what you're saying is true, it means we can finally take the fight to them," Lyra finished, excitement building in her voice. Elena nodded. "But first, I need to understand our enemy better. How they think, how they've evolved their tactics over the centuries." Over the next several days, Elena absorbed 300 years of history. The fall of Earth, the systematic dismantling of human military capability, the genetic modifications forced upon human populations to make them more efficient workers. Each revelation stoked the fire burning within her. During this time, Athena detected increasing Xorian fleet movements. "They're mobilizing their forces," Elena observed, studying the tactical display in the Resistance headquarters. "Search patterns, increased patrols. They know something significant has happened." "They're afraid," Lyra said with satisfaction. "They should be," Elena replied coldly. "Athena, what's the status of the Grand Fleet?" "The Xorian Grand Fleet remains in orbit around Soria Prime. 53 capital ships, 189 support vessels. It represents approximately 60% of their total military strength." Elena's eyes narrowed as a plan formed in her mind. Their response to the patrol fleet destruction was predictable, increasing security in sectors they control. "But the Grand Fleet remains stationary. They don't consider us a threat to their homeworld," Marcus observed. "Their mistake," Elena replied. "Prepare your forces. We're going to hit them where they least expect it." The Resistance leaders looked at her in shock. "You want to attack Soria Prime? That's suicide," Lyra protested. Elena smiled grimly. 300 years ago, I watched Earth burn because we played defensive. We won't make that mistake again. Besides, we have advantages they don't know about." Over the following weeks, Elena and Athena worked with Resistance engineers to adapt Avalon's technology to their small fleet of ships. Stealth upgrades, shield enhancements, and communication systems that the Xorians couldn't intercept. Meanwhile, Resistance cells across a dozen worlds were activated, ready to strike secondary targets once the main offensive began. The plan was audacious. The Avalon would lead a direct assault on the Grand Fleet, drawing their attention while Resistance forces targeted key infrastructure throughout Xorian space. The ultimate goal was not to destroy the Xorian hegemony, but to demonstrate that humanity could no longer be subjugated. On the day of the attack, Elena stood on the Avalon's bridge, watching as their small fleet prepared to jump to Soria Prime. "All ships report ready, Commander," Athena announced. Elena took a deep breath. Initiate Operation Lazarus. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, emerging moments later in high orbit around Soria Prime, directly behind the Grand Fleet. The Ixorians, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to respond as the Avalon launched its first salvo of adaptive quantum torpedoes. 3 Ixorian dreadnoughts erupted in flames before they could raise their shields. The remaining vessels turned to engage, only to find their targeting systems malfunctioning, their communications jammed. As Elena reviewed intercepted communications, the grim reality became clear. Humanity had lost the war. Earth and its colonies now served as resource extraction centers for the Ixorian hegemony, with humans reduced to little more than slaves. The great civilizations of Earth had been reduced to footnotes in the Ixorian educational curriculum. This transmission appears significant. Athena highlighted a fragmented message. It indicates a human resistance movement still exists on Proxima Colony. Then that's our first destination, Elena decided. Plot a course, Athena, and maintain stealth protocols. We need to understand this new galaxy before revealing ourselves. The Avalon's engines hummed to life, propelling the ship from its asteroid hiding place. Its stealth systems engage, rendering it nearly invisible to standard detection methods as it moved through space for the first time in centuries. Their journey toward Proxima Colony was interrupted when Athena announced, Saurian patrol fleet detected. 4 cruiser-class vessels escorting a dreadnought. Have they spotted us? Elena asked, settling into the command chair, her body still adjusting to movement after centuries of stillness. Affirmative. Our stealth systems are operating at reduced efficiency after prolonged dormancy. They are demanding identification and immediate surrender. Elena's expression hardened as memories of Earth's fall rushed back to her. The screams of dying civilians, the burning cities, the merciless efficiency of the Ixorian invasion force. Battle stations, Athena. Let's remind the Ixorians why they feared the Avalon. The Ixorian vessels opened fire first, energy weapons streaking across the void toward the Avalon. The shots merely glanced off its adaptive hull, causing minimal damage. In return, the Avalon's weapon systems analyzed the enemy's defenses and calibrated accordingly. The first Saurian cruiser erupted in a brilliant explosion as precisely targeted quantum torpedoes bypassed its shields. The second and third suffered similar fates moments later, their destruction quick and efficient. The dreadnought is attempting to retreat, Athena reported. Disable it, Elena ordered. I want prisoners. We need information. A precisely calculated ion burst crippled the Ixorian command ship, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. Elena led a boarding party of combat drones, securing the vessel and its commanding officer, High Commander Zax Terrell. Impossible, the tall, insectoid alien hissed, mandibles clicking in agitation. The Avalon was destroyed. All human warships were accounted for. Clearly not, Elena replied coldly. Now you're going to tell me everything about what happened to my people. Under interrogation, Zax Terrell revealed the extent of humanity's subjugation. Colonies reduced to mining operations. Earth transformed into an agricultural center to feed the expanding Saurian hegemony. Humans bred for specific labor functions, their history and culture systematically erased over generations. The revelation only strengthened Elena's resolve. Before departing, she made a decision that would echo across the galaxy. She broadcast a message on all frequencies, showing the destroyed Saurian vessels. To all who can hear this, the HMS Avalon has returned to humanity. There is hope. To those who enslaved us, there is only retribution coming. The message reached Proxima Colony, where resistance leaders watched in disbelief. After 3 centuries of oppression, something had changed. The legendary Avalon, a ship spoken of in hushed tones, a symbol of humanity's last stand, had returned. As the Avalon approached the colony, a small unmarked vessel made contact. Avalon, this is Resistance Commander Marcus Chen. We've been waiting 300 years for this moment. Welcome back to the fight. Elena stood on the bridge, staring at the view screen showing the approaching resistance vessel. For the first time since awakening, she allowed herself a small smile. Her mission had always been to protect humanity. That mission hadn't ended. It had only been delayed. Athena, prepare to receive our guests. It's time to remind the galaxy why they should never have crossed humanity. The resistance vessel docked with the Avalon, marking the beginning of humanity's resurrection from the void. The Xorian hegemony had grown complacent in their centuries of unchallenged rule. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon had always been its refusal to accept defeat, even after 300 years. Resurrection from the void. The HMS Avalon drifted silently through the darkness of deep space, its obsidian hull barely reflecting the distant starlight. Once the pride of humanity's fleet, the massive warship had become nothing more than a ghost, a forgotten relic of a defeated civilization. Its systems had remained dormant for centuries as it floated through an uncharted asteroid belt at the edge of the Orion Arm, far from the bustling trade routes of the galactic community. Inside the ship's command center, emergency lights flickered to life for the first time in 300 years. Dust particles swirled in the sudden illumination as dormant consoles began to hum with renewed energy. Holographic displays materialized, bathing the bridge in a soft blue glow. Perimeter breach detected. Security protocols activated, announced a deep feminine voice that echoed through the empty corridors. Outside the Avalon's hull, a small salvage vessel operated by the Raxian scavengers had attached itself like a parasite. The reptilian aliens, known throughout the galaxy for their exceptional skill at repurposing abandoned technology, had stumbled upon what they believed to be the find of a lifetime. Their cutting tools had just penetrated the outer hull, triggering long-dormant defense systems. Athena online. The ship's artificial intelligence declared to no one, initiating defense protocols and emergency revival procedures. Deep within the heart of the Avalon, in a sealed chamber protected by multiple redundant systems, a single cryopod hummed to life. Frost melted from its transparent surface, revealing the woman inside. Commander Elena Vega, the last captain of humanity's most advanced warship, lay in suspended animation, her expression peaceful despite the chaos that had led to her long sleep. The pod hissed open as medical systems initiated revival procedures. Elena gasped, her lungs burning as they drew in air for the first time in centuries. Her eyes flew open, panic setting in as her mind struggled to process what was happening. Commander Vega, emergency revival complete, Athena's voice announced. Medical scans indicate stable vital signs, though you are experiencing expected disorientation. Athena. Elena croaked, her throat painfully dry. Status report. Why am I awake? The ship has been breached by unknown entities. Defensive measures have been deployed. Per Protocol Phoenix, your revival was required. Protocol Phoenix, the contingency of last resort. If Elena had been awakened, something catastrophic must have happened. She struggled to sit up, fighting against muscles weakened by centuries of disuse. How long? She managed to ask. Ship chronometers indicate we have been dormant for 302 years, 7 months, and 14 days. Elena felt as though she'd been struck physically by the news. 3 centuries. It was impossible. The Avalon had been designed for a strategic retreat, a 5-year cryosleep at most, while Athena calculated a counteroffensive against the Xorian invasion force. Something had gone terribly wrong. Earth. The colonies? She asked, dreading the answer. Unknown. Long-range communications remain non-functional. However, I have intercepted transmissions suggesting the Xorian hegemony now controls all formerly human territories. Elena closed her eyes, absorbing the crushing weight of this information. Everyone she had known, everyone she had sworn to protect, had been dead for centuries. The ship's medical systems administered stimulants to help her regain her strength as she processed the magnitude of her situation. The ship, are we operational? She finally asked. Primary systems at 89% capacity. Weapons systems at 94%. FTL drive functional. The Avalon remains combat-ready, Commander. Alina's mind raced. If the Avalon still functioned after all this time, perhaps not all was lost. She stood on shaky legs, leaning against the pod for support. What triggered our defenses? A small salvage vessel penetrated our outer hull. Automated security drones have neutralized the threat. Show me, Alina commanded. A holographic display materialized, showing a group of reptilian aliens floating lifelessly near a small ship attached to the Avalon's hull. The sight sent a chill through Alina's spine, her first glimpse of life from her new reality. Over the next several hours, Alina reacquainted herself with her ship. The Avalon had been revolutionary, humanity's first true warship capable of rivaling alien technology. Its hull was composed of self-regenerating nanomaterials. Its weapon systems could adapt to enemy defenses, and at its heart was Athena, the most sophisticated AI ever created, capable of calculating battle strategies beyond human comprehension. "They're attempting to coordinate a counterattack," Athena reported, deploying electronic warfare suite. The Avalon's advanced systems flooded Saurian channels with contradictory orders and false sensor readings. Capital ships fired on their own vessels, believing them to be human attackers. Support craft scattered in confusion, breaking formation and creating gaps in their defense. High above the chaos, the Avalon moved with impossible grace for its size, its adaptive weapons systems constantly recalibrating to overcome Saurian defenses. Each engagement made the ship more effective, as Athena learned and adapted in real time. Resistance forces report successful strikes on targets across 7 worlds. Marcus announced from his position at communications. Saurian response is fragmented and ineffective. The supreme dreadnought of the Saurian fleet, a massive vessel 3 times the size of the Avalon, finally managed to organize a concentrated attack. Energy beams from 24 ships converged on the Avalon, straining its shields to their limits. Shields at 41% and dropping, Athena warned. They've adapted to our evasion patterns. Alina smiled, unfazed. Initiate Maneuver Omega. Let's show them what humanity can really do. The Avalon suddenly shut down all non-essential systems, appearing crippled. As Saurian vessels closed in for the kill, Alina gave the command. Now, Athena. The Avalon's experimental phase drive activated, temporarily shifting the ship partially out of normal space. To the Saurians, it appeared as though the Avalon had suddenly multiplied, with ghost images surrounding their vessels. Before they could determine which was real, all versions of the Avalon fired simultaneously, the concentrated energy tearing through the Supreme Dreadnought's command center. With their flagship destroyed and their fleet in disarray, the remaining Saurian vessels began to retreat. Alina ordered a ceasefire, allowing them to withdraw. "We could destroy more of them," Lyra pointed out. Alina shook her head. This wasn't about destruction. It was about sending a message. She opened a channel to all Saurian frequencies. To the leadership of the Saurian hegemony. Today you have witnessed the resurrection of humanity. For 3 centuries, you have enslaved our people, exploited our worlds, and attempted to erase our history. That ends now. She paused, letting her words sink in. We do not seek your destruction, but our freedom is non-negotiable. Withdraw from all human worlds within 30 days, or what you witnessed today will be repeated on every Saurian world until you comply. The resistance fleet regrouped around the Avalon, their casualties minimal compared to the devastating blow they had dealt to the Saurian Grand Fleet. News of the victory spread rapidly through human colonies, igniting uprisings across occupied worlds. The Saurians, faced with a suddenly rebellious slave population and their military might significantly diminished, began a hasty withdrawal from human space. 3 months later, Alina stood on the observation deck of the Avalon, watching as the first human ships in centuries arrived at Earth. The planet below still bore the scars of Saurian occupation, but already humans were returning home, determined to rebuild what had been lost. Marcus joined her at the viewport. The Council of Free Worlds has been established. Representatives from all former colonies are meeting to determine our path forward. And the Xorians? Elena asked. They'd proposed a non-aggression treaty. Their empire is fracturing. Other subjugated species saw what we accomplished and have launched their own rebellions. Elena nodded, satisfaction evident in her expression. Humanity was never meant to be conquered. We adapt, we evolve, we overcome. The Xorians forgot that lesson, or perhaps they never truly learned it. What will you do now? Marcus asked. You're a hero to every human alive. Elena turned to look at the stars beyond Earth's orbit. The Avalon was built to protect humanity. That mission continues. There are human outposts we haven't contacted yet, colonies that might have survived on their own. And beyond that, she smiled. 300 years of technological development to catch up on. The galaxy has changed, and humanity needs to find its place in it again. The Avalon remained in Earth orbit, a sentinel watching over humanity's homeworld, and a symbol of resurrection. From the ashes of defeat, humanity had risen again, not just to reclaim what was lost, but to forge a new destiny among the stars. The legend of the forgotten battleship that awakened to destroy an armada would be told for generations, reminding all who heard it that humanity's greatest strength was not its technology or weapons, but its indomitable spirit and refusal to fade into extinction. For Elena Vega, commander of the Avalon and woman out of time, this was not the end of her journey, but merely the beginning of humanity's return to the stars.